So thank you guys for attending this session, Pro Tips to Crack Salesforce Interviews. So this is the first of its kind session. We have, thought about this session 1 month before on the basis of the global fair or any upcoming, drives or openings of Salesforce ecosystem, because we have been into a, wrong or not a good path from past few months because of one pandemic situation. So it leads to few jobs got let down and few jobs have not been opened, and a lot of people have struggling to get a job. And even they enter into interview panel, the competition is very neck to neck because of more number of people uh, fighting for single opening, or maybe one opening is having multiple members attending towards it. So it is very difficult to crack a Salesforce interview. So that's how we thought about this session to conduct this session. And this is all about me, Suresh and Chinna's idea. So Sesha, let's conduct this session just before the global fair, so that it would be in the mind of the people, so that they have a very good time to prepare accordingly and present accordingly. We might conduct this session 1 month before, but that might wipe out from your head. So this is the reason why we named this session as the need of the hour session. So thank you very much, guys, to attend this session. We got almost 365 registrations for this session, and thank you very much for joining. It's already 125 plus attendees are there, and still few members are in waiting room. So yeah, let's get started. So as we are very much proud of this, we are a family of 1100 plus. So we have the 1116 Vijayawada community group members. We started this community group almost 7 or 8 months before, but this is the record time where a community group throughout the world achieved this many of group members in very less time. So it's all about you. It's all about the volunteers. It's all about the attendees who made this Vijayawada community into a very huge aspect of this trailblazer community. We hold a respect, and that respect is all because of you. We are very much thankful for you, and we treat you as your family or ohana. Thank you very much for making Vijayawada Developer Community into a very huge aspect of this trailblazer community. So we are uploading lots of content over here, and whatever the session we conduct, we do upload. Nowadays we are not uploading because of some timestamp issues, but yeah, we have uploaded a lot. And we have a couple of Salesforce interview videos which has already uploaded. If you can see in the screen, Salesforce admin and developer mock interview, Salesforce developer mock interview. So these interviews are very much famous in our channel. As you can see, 1.3k views, 875 views. So do watch these videos. These two videos are really important. They have covered almost all the admin and developer questions which are regularly asked in any sort of interview. So these are the couple of interviews which we have conducted at the VCGF 20. You might guys heard about VCGF, as it is a very grand success virtual event in this 2020 year. So I recommend you guys to watch those videos and subscribe to our channel, so that we will be posting many more videos and many more session recordings over there, so that you will be updated as we are. And also we have one official Telegram group, Salesforce Developer Group Vijayawada India. So to join that Telegram group, you can have t.me/Vijayawada_SFDC. Already 350 members are there in this Telegram group. We usually have regular chat over there, where we will be giving the updates of our sessions, as well as some of the job openings updates, as well as if you have any doubts over there, people will ask the doubts, and the concerned person will approach to solve the doubts. And even I or Suresh or Chinna from our team will go forward to solve their doubts. So that's how our Telegram is very active, very proactive, I can say. So please do join our Telegram groups, and let's have a fun conversation or very effective conversation over there. I wish Chinna please post all the links of which I am talking about, so that people who are present over here can join the session. And also our very much famous social handle, which is Twitter. Salesforce Trailblazer community is all about Twitter, and everyone will be very active as our team also very active, and our group page is also very active. So please do follow our page so that you will be getting a lot of updates within Twitter. So this is the agenda, a keen agenda which you have to look into. I know that this session is little bit delayed because of lot of people who are in the waiting room, but nevertheless we are not beyond the time. So 5 p.m. we have the welcome keynote, which is already done by me, and 5:50 p.m. resume evaluation. At 5:30 p.m. we will be touch basing the tell me about yourself approach, and 5:50 etiquette in online interviews, and by 5 p.m. how to communicate efficiently. Uh, if there is sorry for that spelling mistake, and 6:20 p.m. how to approach with RAC format. At 6:30 we'll be closing this session. So we know that already 360 plus people have registered for this session, so that it is our duty to put lot of content to you, lot of informative content which should be unique and which should be very beneficial for you. So me, Suresh and Chinna, almost we did research for 3 to 4 days to how to put the content to you and how this content to be delivered to you, so that it would be very easy for understanding and it is very easy for implementing. So that after implementing, it will be very beneficial for you to crack an interview very efficiently by using these tips and tricks. So that's how we have planned this session, and let's get started with resume evaluation. Before I start, I would like to mention one more thing. So there are 5 segments which are delivering, which is resume evaluation, tell me about yourself approach, and etiquette in online interviews, how to communicate efficiently, how to approach with RAC format. So these are the 5 segments which we want to bring up very uniquely. As let's say if I covered resume evaluation for 10 to 15 minutes, after 10 to 15 minutes, I will take 5 minutes break. It's not break. In that 5 minutes, I will be taking up the questions only on resume evaluation. Got it? Let's say 5:15 to 5:25, I'm delivering on resume evaluation. I'm sharing some knowledge on resume evaluation. And after this resume evaluation information, I'll be asking you guys to post the questions. So once you post the questions in the chat window, our moderator, who is Varnata Singh, will take up those questions and will ask those questions to me, and I will be delivering the answers to you. So that let's make it into a segment: resume evaluation one segment, tell me about yourself another, etiquette, communication, and RAC into 5 different segments, so that we might not lose the touch of each and every segment. Let's say if I go on a go, if I go to up to 6:20 and 6:30, you might be forgetting about how to ask a question about resume evaluation, or maybe tell me about yourself. So I want to make this into chunks. So it's all about divide and rule. So that's the one strategy I would like to follow in this session, and hopefully this divide and rule will help you. Right. All right. So resume evaluation. So resume evaluation of any person will be within 2 things. One is for freshers, one is for work experience people. So freshers will have, let's say I'm an interviewer. So interviewer will see a fresher's resume in one aspect, and interviewer will see a work experience people's resume in another aspect. So let's segregate how it will be happen. I know a lot of people were freshers, which will be in the session. Almost 130 plus are there. I assume a lot more percentage goes to the freshers, and I assume some part of the percentage goes to work experience. I want to make a beneficial session to both of them. So that's why I segregated this session into freshers as well as work experience people, so that it will be beneficial and win-win situation for both of them. So let's see how freshers evaluation will be done, and what would be the segments, or what would be the buckets you have to include when it comes to freshers resume. So resume evaluation for freshers, an interviewer will be expecting you to have these things in your resume. First and foremost thing, career objective. So what is your career objective? Just make it into 1 or 2 lines about your career objective. And the trick of career objective is to specific to role. let's say you are aiming for developer role, your career objective tells that your goal or your aiming role is a developer role. Let's say there is business analyst role. uh, to be more precise, if I have to give an example, uh, I am looking for landing up in a job where my communication skills and Salesforce admin skills will get benefited being a business analyst. I'm just giving a random example. So this might be a career objective where I have, the core skills of business analyst should be a communication skills at the first and foremost thing. Second one is Salesforce admin, and third one is developer basics, as well as he should be having a lot of knowledge of Salesforce products as well. So these things you have to mention when it comes to business analyst. When it comes to developer, you all guys know, I want to excel my programming skills or my epic programming skills, and for like that you can make those lines. I don't want to mention lines because I don't want to even show any resume, because if I give you an example or if I give you any mentioning, you might copy that. I don't want you guys to copy that. I want you guys to come up with your own sentence, or with your own formats, because your own format will describe that resume is all about yours, and you will be in a comfort zone. You can easily closing your eyes, you can just away right away you can explain your whole resume. So that's the reason why I want you guys to prepare your own resume without following any format. That's the reason why I'm not going to share any example or formatting over here. So make sure that career objective is very important. That will make or break your session. If your career objective is your real career objective is being a Salesforce business analyst, but you put your career objective as I want to excel myself in programming, or I want to excel myself in Apex language, but it doesn't make sense, because your specific role which you are aiming is business analyst, right? So make sure that objective of one or two sentences would have to should have to specific to that. And education qualification, so it is the secondary part where a particular interviewer look into. So education qualification, don't hype it, just put it in a tabular mode of 10th this school, this is your CGPA, 12th college CGPA, graduation college CGPA, that's it. Don't over exaggerate your education qualification. If you are a gold medalist, if you are having 10 out of 10 CGPA, then mention it with a bracket. Let's say your education qualification of graduation BTech, this is the college, 9.5 CGPA out of 10, in the brackets put it as gold medalist. So that's how it makes sense. Otherwise don't put anything like first class, second class, third class. These class doesn't make any sense when it comes to education qualification of maybe BTech or BE, any other. And that should be your education qualifications section. And core skills. So freshers, I saw most of the freshers putting some academic achievements at the top, but it is not recommendable to put academics achievements at the top, but you have to put your core skills at the top. Core skills in the sense Salesforce admin, Salesforce developer. If you want to specific more into Salesforce kind of thing, let's say Salesforce data management, you are expert in data loader, you are expert in data import wizard, you are expert in data loader.io, you might be expert in Workbench. So put it as core skills, data management, data modeling, data security, process automation. So like that you can mention your core skills. When it comes to developers, put it as triggers, put it as Apex programming. When it comes to programming, in the front end part there is VF, there is Aura, there is LWC, within Lightning there is LWC, right? So mention either one. Don't mention all VF, Aura, and Lightning Web Components, because it doesn't make sense. Put it as Salesforce admin, this is your core skill. Salesforce developer, make it as Apex, triggers, and maybe LWC or VF or Aura, whatever it may be, whatever the thing you are comfortable with. So like that you mention these core skills, which are very important. Rather than Salesforce, you must and should have put one or two more core skills which should be out of Salesforce. Let's say my core skill is software engineering. I put software engineering. Within software engineering, I will be putting SFD, software development lifecycle SDLC, software testing cycle, STLC, beta testing. All these are my core skills. And rather than that, you can put database management system. So database management system also plays a key role when you put that into your core skill, because say database within objects, records, and rows. So this is one of the hack. You can put these as your core skills, but make sure Salesforce will be at the top, and below should be your academic background subjects, or maybe any other core skill. Let's say digital marketing, which is not part of your educational background, but you can put it over there. So that's how you have to mention your core skills. That's how a person or an interviewer like me, let's say I'm an interviewer like me, will evaluate that person. So if you put another core skill which is beyond your education background, it would be more beneficial, because it will replicate that you are eager to learning, you are eager to learn new things, and you are having different verticals rather than this technology. Might be you might be very much strong into the marketing, you might be very much strong into the sales. Internally every company have its sales team, pre-sales team, marketing team, so that you can not only performing some task within these technology or projects, you can also put your legs or put your wings into another verticals of a company. Let's say my company, I am a part of CloudWiz, which is a US based company. So within CloudWiz, my part of that company is 80% when it comes to doing projects, or internal projects, or maybe external projects, client projects, like that. 20% of my time stamps goes to marketing, because they believe I'm having good skills in marketing. Also maybe 10 to 15% goes to human resources, because within human resources there will be TLL, right, training and learning sessions. So I am part of training and learning sessions, giving corporate training, so that you should be a single resource who should be helpful in different segments, not in only one segment. If you are, let's say I have two candidates, okay, one person is good with all these Apex and all this admin stuff, and also is good in marketing, also is good in communication skills, or maybe delivering some sessions. So I will definitely pick this guy, because he is having variant skill set. So variant skill set people will have lot of advantage when it comes to cracking an interview. So think what are your variant skill set and mention it over there in the interviews. Don't bluff, because if you bluff the skills, it will be very easy to identify, right? So don't lie with your resume or skills when it comes to any job. And next thing is academic projects. So as you are a fresher, you might be not having any projects on real time or live environment. So mention your academic projects. We are having semesters regularity, right? So every semester we will be doing some projects. So if you are a 3 years degree, you will be having 6 semesters. If you are a 4-year degree, you will be having 8 semesters. So out of 8 or 6 semesters, you will be doing at least one project per semester. For database management system, maybe for computer networks, whatever it may be. I'm just mentioning the computer science background, because I'm not known about the mechanical and electrical background, as I am a computer background guy. So sorry for that. I hope C and Java are the common for each and every brand. So you can mention these academic projects which you have done. Mostly I heard that library management system, uh, college management system, placement management system. These are the common academic projects everyone put it in the resume as their academic projects. But please do think differently, come up with your own projects. I hope you have done your own projects when it comes to Salesforce. If you're unable to bring any project, let's say, rather than college management system, library management system, or any other beaten up projects which you have done, if you are not having anything other than that, at least put one Salesforce project, trailhead project. Let's say, what are the trailhead projects? Lemonade application, maybe app recruiting. App recruiting is one of the best project of trailhead. You can put it that app recruiting. And yeah, make sure you put one Salesforce project at the top, one academic project. If you are very confident, put the third academic project as well. So academic projects also makes a major role when it comes to resume, I mean interviews, because out of that you will be getting a lot of questions in within academic projects. So like that you can have. Guys, if you have any questions, put it over the chat window. I'll be taking these questions after this resume evaluation segment. And internships. I assume each and every person have did at least one internship, maybe at the end of your second year of your college, or at the end of your third year of your college. If you have done, please do mention. If you haven't done, I'm sorry, that might not give a lot of weightage to your resume, because internship might be of three types. One is paid internship where companies will pay you. One is unpaid internship where company will not pay you, and third one is another type of internship where you will be paying. Whatever it may be, put it over there, because they are not going to ask whether it is paid or not. Even if you say paid or not, there is no certain proof. So even you can mention it as paid internship, they're not going to ask that proof, or even the certificate which you got, in not a single certificate will have it is a paid interview, named as paid interview. So if you would like to mention, please mention, but make sure whatever the things you did in the internship, whatever the project you did in the internship should be very efficiently structured in a story manner, right? Let's say I'm an interviewer, I will ask what you have done in your internship. You have to put the dots and connect the dots, make a storyline, and have to deliver it to your interviewer. So that story will story is not a good word, but I call it as a story, because every interview what we are telling is stories. Stories of real time, not the build up stories. You can even build up, but there is some extent. If you are building up something over the extent, it is very easy to identify, right? So don't build up anything, but a little build up can help you. Right? So internship you have to mention over there. And if you doesn't have any internship, I recommend you guys to go to Internshala and do one small internship and at least put it over there, so that your internship column would not be empty. And certificates. So this is also one of the segment which plays a major role, and which plays what is your learning curve other than your academics. Let's say Salesforce admin certificate, Salesforce PD1, Salesforce app builder. I assume freshers will be getting down these certificates nowadays. Some freshers are getting down community cloud, analytics certification. So whatever the certification you have done, put it over there. And also, not only Salesforce, as I told you, in core skills, you should have to maintain some different verticals other than Salesforce, right? So within certificates, make sure you put another verticals of certificates. Let's say the example which I've told you, digital marketing, Google digital marketing you have done. Put the Google digital marketing certificate over there. Even in technology, let's say you have done DevOps certification, put it DevOps. You have done maybe another certifications like Coursera, Udemy, Pluralsight. So whatever it may be, put it over there. Before you put any certification in the certification list, think yourself, just think, is it going to be beneficial? Is any question asking from that particular concept, am I answerable? Let's say you put digital marketing. If you don't know about SEO, if you don't know about AdWords, then no matter if you put that certification in that certification list, you will be fired off by the interviewer, because my concentration goes to digital marketing. Because I assume, okay, you have maybe the basic knowledge of Salesforce. Let's test how this guy is having digital marketing. So tell me what is SEO. Tell me what is AdWords. Tell me what is page ranking. So if I ask this question, if you are unable to answer to me, then that's a backfire for you. So whatever the certificates you are putting, please make sure you are thorough on it, at least the basics, right? So more the certificates you put, more the value you get, but it should be, more, you have to, have the more knowledge on the certificates. So that's the certificate segmentation. And coming to my favorite, position of responsibility and achievements segment, guys. So whatever the position of responsibility you hold, let's say in your school age, let's say in your intermediate or 12th, or maybe in your graduation, So position of responsibility is nothing but leadership. So whatever the leadership you hold, let's say in my 10th, I am the school president. That's my position of responsibility. In my 12th class, I am the leader of the college. That's my position of responsibility. In my graduation, I am the Salesforce student group leader. That's my position of responsibility. So every aspect of my life, I have some position of responsibility, which I am very much proud of. And even after my college, I have been into the position of responsibility of Salesforce Developer Group Vijayawada India leader. So it happens to me, but it might not happens to you. You might not having any position of responsibility. Position of responsibility might be event organizer, might be a demo. I mean debate organizer. So whatever the position you hold, positions like team members, team leaders, director, whatever it may be, except team members, whatever the position you hold, that is a position of responsibility, because under your position there are few people. So that's why that position is you can name it as position of responsibility. Hypothetically, or at the worst case, you didn't have any position of responsibility till today, then you can mention your achievements. Whatever the achievements you have, you can mention. Let's say it is TriLet Ranger. Let's say it is TriLet 2x Ranger. Let's say you TriLet 50 badges. What is that expenditure, right? I don't remember what we'll call it as 50 badges. TriLet expenditure. So like that, you can mention Salesforce achievements at the top, and below you can mention your own achievements, like participated in sports, won gold medal in XYZ sport, or maybe you can put it as achievements, won debating competition, won quiz competition. So like that, you can mention few of the achievements. And very importantly, please do mention any academic achievements as well. Let's say you are having, as I told you, gold medalist, you are a gold medalist, please do mention gold medalist at the top rather than Salesforce achievements. Let's say you participated into the Olympiads at your school age, you participated in the Olympiads, All India Teachers Mathematics competitions, or maybe NTSC competitions. So not only participations is the achievements, you won something, let's say runner up, winner, or maybe finalist or semi-finalist, whatever the things, those are the achievements. So put those achievements in that. If you don't have a position of responsibility, if you have both, then put it over there. That sounds really good. So make sure 5 to 6 achievements are more than enough. So those are the things you can make it into the resume evaluation for freshers. And please do mention additional skills. Lot of people, I don't know why they don't mention additional skills. Please do mention your additional skills. Let's say you are a good leader. If you feel you are a good leader, mention it as leadership as your additional skill. If you're having content writing knowledge, put the content writing over there. If you're having very critical thinking or problem solving skills, put the critical thinking and problem solving and additional skills. And make sure whatever the additional skills you are putting over there, you must know that. You must be answerable to that additional skill, right? So it will tells the interviewer that you are an all-rounder, because lot of companies don't need any technical people. If you know, let's say I am the person who knows Salesforce development 90%. There is one person who knows Salesforce development 100%, 110%, but within 90%, I know different aspects. I have a good communication skills. My verticals are different. I can even conduct session, organize session. I have good knowledge in marketing, and I'm a good engaging person. I'm a proactive person, but I have only 90% of Salesforce development knowledge. But my other person is having 110% of Salesforce knowledge. But at last, the person who is going to be picked is me, because companies don't need a bullseye person. Companies needs a variant person, right? So these additional skills will tells that how many skills you have rather than your academics and rather than your stuff, right? So these are the evaluations of resume evaluation when it comes to freshers. And if you have any good hobbies, please do mention hobbies. Let's say book reading, please do mention book reading. I have a book reading habit, so I am currently reading this book, A Brief History of Time. So I can mention it as book reading. I'm also reading this book, Built to Last, one of the book. So I can mention these books as my book reading. So Don't mention hobbies as like which are not efficient, like say PUBG. If you are a PUBG player, don't put it as playing video games like this. Put some hobbies which should replicate that it is one of its skill, right? Book reading is one skill, dancing is one skill, singing is one skill, swimming is also one skill. You can put these as your hobbies, but don't go beyond and put unusual hobbies or useless hobbies. Right. So last and finally, please do mention your resume, because whatever the things which are above which you are mentioning will replicate in these two, right? LinkedIn profile will replicate your set. Within your LinkedIn profile, you will be having one header, you will be having education qualification, you will be having certificate. So this is one place where it will be acting as a proof, and one place where people will be knowing about you, right? So I saw a lot of people will go to the LinkedIn profile before that interview. Let's say you submitted one resume, your interview is tomorrow at 10 a.m., right? The interviewer is going to check your LinkedIn profile at 9:45 a.m. He will spend 10 minutes time on your LinkedIn, so that before that interview itself he will get one assumption. Okay, I am going to interview a person who is very knowledgeable, who is very active on social handles, in a professional social handle, not the normal social handle, so that it will create a positive impact. If your LinkedIn profile is not yet updated, you are not yet active, and you are not being such a professional kind of person, it will give, before the interview starts, it will give you a wrong perception to the interview. Might be you are a good person, right? I recommend you guys to update your LinkedIn profile and trialbasic.me ID profile. So it is very, very essential. Please do update them ASAP if you haven't updated. And also please do mention them. So this is the resume evaluation for freshers. And there are few changes when it comes to work experience people. I'm not going to give the evaluation of work experience people who are having work experience maybe more than 4 or 5 years, because their evaluation will be more, at the higher part, and might be my experience not enough to deliver those work experience people evaluation. But the things which I'm going to tell within this work experience people might be equivalent to 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years before Salesforce interview or crack that Salesforce interview. So sorry if you are having any 4+ or 5+ of work experience, it might not for you. J2S aspirants, your work experience is 0 when it comes to Salesforce. So you can have this in your mind. But if you are a real Salesforce developer from past 4 to 5 years, then might be this evaluation is not for you. So moving forward, so you don't need any career objective, because you are already in a career objective. You are just go with the educational qualification and just mention your work experience. Let's say you have been into 2 to 3 companies, so mention all those 2 to 3 companies first. 0 to 1 to 2 years you work for ABC company, so that mention your work experience over there. And coming forward, whatever the real-time projects you have performed within your work experience, so please do mention over there. Let's say for first to 6 months you have been into training, internal projects, right? So rather than mentioning it as a training, please mention it as internal project. So name that project. If you want to give the description of 1 or 2 lines, please give the description of 1 or 2 lines of the project. And as a Salesforce analyst, please do mention those projects and write 1 or 2 liners of that description of the project, or what are the things you would like to mention about that project in as a real-time project. And as usually, mention core skills. For freshers, the core skills might be variably different from Salesforce academic and others. But when it comes to, if you are an experienced person, you can mainly focus on Salesforce skills. and you can elaborate those skills much deeper. And you can also even mention this skill is very essential skill, or maybe more used skill when it comes to my projects. You can mention these things when it comes to core skills as well. And certificates, as usually you can mention certificates. You guys can also go a little bit variant. Let's say if you are mentioning 5 certificates, if you are mentioning 3 to 4 Salesforce certificate, 1 or 2 certificate you can mention other than Salesforce. Let's say maybe DevOps certificate, maybe another certificate, maybe domain-based certificates like healthcare and life science domain, aviation domain, transport domain. So whatever the domain based certificates you have done, please put it over there, because domain expertise makes a lot of impact when it comes to Salesforce, because it doesn't matter which company you are applying for, but if you are having a domain knowledge, it is more keen or more effectively known that you are having a lot of domain product experience or domain experience, where your problem solving skills, right? I'm putting it as my achievement. But if I assume that if I put it in this way, organized a 2020 biggest offline event called Salesforce Mega Community Event, impactful. The sentence which started with power verb definitely make an impact. Definitely, will be more pleasing to hear. Will be more pleasing to read, right? Always start with the power verb, not start with any objectives, right? And always front load. Front load is nothing but put your most exaggerated skills. I don't want to mention it as exaggerated. You can, it's up to you, into the front zone. Let's say, let me give you an example. If you can see, if you can see my Twitter headline, world's youngest Salesforce DUZ leader. So that's the first tagline I have front loaded over there, right? I don't believe in this world's youngest, world's least, world's shortest, world's tallest, but that's my front load equation over there. So whoever the person who open my profile, he will be seeing that front loaded line. So mention those front loaded line if you are having anything over there, right? These front loaded line will be making a lot of impact. Let me give you an example. I have won district level quiz competition in my 12th class, right? Won district level quiz competition in 12th class, uh, where there are 80 colleges participating. So that's how I front loaded. Won district level quiz competition. That is another thing. Won district level quiz competition where 80 other colleges are participating, because I might be exaggerating that sentence, but that is what it is. And to be to be hack, you can also exaggerate those numbers. To be honest, there are no 80 colleges participated in that competition. There are only 20 colleges participated in that competition. I have exaggerated to 80. I'm having the certificate district, right? Who is going to check 80 colleges participated, 160 colleges? It will be very beneficial. You might be happen. And winner effect. Let's say you are having competition, you only won 2 competitions, eight competitions you lost. Make sure don't put the remaining 8 competition, 10 competition out of 10 won 2 competitions. Don't put it like that. Put the competitions only which you have won. That is the winner effect. Winner effect is nothing but winner of quiz competition, a winner of debating competition, a winner of Salesforce case studies competition. So like that, you can put that winner effect. So that winner effect will tells the interviewer that you are an achiever. You can achieve anything. When it comes to projects or when it comes to other stuff, you can achieve anything. So that winner effect plays a major role. And ensure consistency. Whatever the things you are mentioning, please ensure the consistency. Right? Don't deviate within your resume. Consistency is must. And proper spacing. Please use proper spacing. You might be using single space, tab space, or whatever the space. Please do use proper spacing. And organize it. Don't repeat them frequently. Change the power verbs. If you can go to Google, I just want to go to Google. Even I am running behind power verbs, right? If I go to power verbs, 185 powerful action verbs, you can see. I hope you guys can see my Google. Led, handled, managed, responsible for, chaired, controlled, coordinated, executed, headed, operated, like that. 185 power verbs are over there in this particular module. You can go over there and use these power verbs in your resume. That will definitely make a good resume for you. So like that, you guys can go with your resumes. And also in this evaluation pattern, a person will be evaluating in you 3 aspects. One is academic, one is co-curricular, one is extracurricular. Remember, academic, co-curricular, extracurricular. So education qualification, core skills, academic projects, internships comes under your academic skills. Certificates comes under your co-curricular skills. Position of responsibility or achievements, additional skills, hobbies comes under your co-curricular skills. Please do make sure all the 3 are covered in a same aspect. All the 3 are having its own good weightage, right? These 3 evaluations are must. And if you are lagging behind any of these evaluation, I'm sorry, you are not good fit for that company or any other company, right? Just do it. So these from my end about the resume evaluation. I would like to take up some questions within resume evaluation. I saw 60 messages in the chat window. So hopefully someone can help me to read those messages.
Hi, Sesha. Good
Hey,
evening.
Varnata.
I have answered most of the questions, but there were few which I will read out to you. Yeah.
Please.
There's one question from Shafi. He says, how to get a job on Salesforce without putting fake experience?
Without putting?
Fake experience.
Why you have to put fake experience? Don't put fake experience, Shafi, because it is very easy to identify. Because in Salesforce, you will be having trailblazer.me ID. You will be having LinkedIn profile. Nowadays, recruiters are not that bluffed as previously, because there are professional handles called maybe LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. They might be going over there and they will check that, and maybe they might ask you for background verification, and within that background verification, if you not met the conditions, you will be fired from that company. And program, and out of that registration they will give you set of trial mixes, like admin trial mixes, 6 trial mixes, developer trial mixes, 6 trial mixes, and 1 more trial mix of soft skills. So there will be 13 trial mixes. If you complete either admin graph, or if you complete either developer graph means those 6 trial mixes, you will be qualified to have uh, interviews, I mean job ready program interviews, or a global fair connect. But within that there is a limitation. I think 750 people only participate. So there will be registration form, first come first serve. It will be of first come first serve. So those who will register for first 750 people will be heading towards the interviews. And The format will be more clearly explained by the Trailblazer Connect team, not me as a Trailblazer community leader. So these how freshers or maybe uh, college grads are going to do. When it comes to the experience of people who are having X number of experience, maybe months or years, doesn't belongs to Salesforce domain, but belongs to other domain. But now want to jump into the Salesforce domain, now want to pursue your Salesforce domain, looking into the Salesforce job, then you will be called as Journey to Aspirant, Journey to Salesforce Aspirant, J2S Aspirant. So that there is one program, beautiful program called Journey to Salesforce. So using that Salesforce, program, you can register over there. There also you will be getting 4 to 5 trial mixes. Out of those trial mixes, if you complete, you will be registered for these, career fair, job fair, global fair recruitments. And there also, I think first come first serve will be followed. First 750 people will be eligible for the career fair, where you will be attending some of the interviews. If you got a offer letter, you will be the success story. So that's how it happens. So yeah, whatever the objectives or whatever the terminologies which I'm using, Journey to Salesforce, job ready program, just go over the Google and search, you will be getting ample amount of information, right? So let me go forward. Best resume hack, which I mentioned a lot of times, and it works for a lot of people. Most of the interviews have the resume evaluation within seconds. Lot of people will be seeing your resume within seconds, and they might get bored because they might be having their formatted questions. They might be having those questions itself, but they won't spend much time on your resume, right? So a research states that if your resume doesn't grab the attention within 6 seconds, or maybe first 6 seconds, then the interviewer won't show interest in your resume. This is one of the research tells, within 6 seconds, first 6 seconds, if your resume doesn't grasp any attention, then that interviewer might not put more attention to your resume. So it's your duty to grasp more attention. So how can you grasp attention within 6 seconds, within first 6 seconds? So there is a best hack which I always recommend, which I always go with, which is to grab the attention at the first instance. Write down your top achievements at the header of the page. We all have our name, our gender, our phone, our location, our email ID at the header, right? Under that, just mention 2 to 3 top achievements over there. Let's say Trailhead Ranger, 2x Salesforce certified. So whatever the top achievements within Salesforce you mention, that will act as a attention grabber. Might be I got some attention over there. Okay, he's a 2x certified person. Let me see what his resume tells. Okay, he's a Trailhead Ranger. Let me see what he does the projects. So it will grab attention, guys. So this is one of the best hack I always recommend to everyone, and it gives almost the success rate, right? So you can also implement it within your header page. You can include 1 or 2 achievements, right? So next, jump into the next segment, which is tell me about yourself approach. So I always believe 50% of the interview success or failures depends on tell me about yourself. So if you really did well with your tell me about yourself, your 50% of your interview is done. You are almost qualified. Just you have to give few answers, or give them a perception, something. Then you are bang on. You are going to select. So that you have to prepare your tell me about yourself very efficiently. But out of that, you are going to deliver only 60 to 90 seconds. Let's say I'm an interviewer. We are in a online interview. I will be the interviewer asking, please introduce yourself. Tell me about yourself. I would like to know about yourself. So whatever the question it might be, that the context is same, right? So within 60 to 90 seconds, you have to tell yourself. It should be more effective, more efficient, and there should be a strategy behind it. So that 90 seconds will defines or depends your rest of your 30 minutes of your interview, or maybe 15 minutes of interview, right? How it going to be that strategic, or how it going to be dependent, I'm going to share it soon, right? Before I jump into the do's of tell me about yourself, I would like to mention don'ts of tell me about yourself. So These are the few pointers you doesn't have to mention when it comes to your tell me about yourself, which is avoid mentioning about your school or 12th. Let's say in your school at 8th class you have did dancing, you won some competition. At your 12th class you won some competition, you want something. Don't mention that, because those are not latest, and that personality of yours might be changing by now, right? So whatever the things you have done within your graduation, that will be the uh, thing you as a person coming out, right? So it doesn't sense that if you are something mentioning at school, you want this, okay, easy achiever. No, after your school you spent 6 years. What you have done within these 6 years, mention these things. Mention your graduate achievements, or mention something, a storyline which belongs to your graduation, right? Whatever the things you have did you in your graduation, mention those things, right? When it comes to work experience, people mention the things which you have done in your current organization or maybe previous organization, right? Because latest achievement defines your knowledge, defines your mindset, right? So yeah. And also avoid talking about your parents or relatives. I don't know why people talk about parents or relatives. My name is XYZ, my father is XYZ, my father is an XYZ employee, my mother is a housewife, my mother name is this. Why, bro? Why? Why do I want to know your father? Why do I want to know your father employability? Why do I want to know your parents or relatives? Tell me about yourself. Tell about yourself for the rest of the 90 seconds. Don't even mention about your parents. Last time we have did VCGF session where we have conducted 113 mock interviews. I have heard a lot of people telling about their parents. Why you are telling about your parents? What will I do knowing about your parents? Right? Are you getting the job or your parent? So don't mention or don't spoil your 90 seconds by mentioning which are not going to benefit you, right? And also avoid projects. 50 to 60% of people telling about their project when it comes to tell me about yourself and projects doesn't make any sense, right? I heard that my name is this, my education qualification is this, and I have done this project, and within this project I have done this and this. That is not about yourself, that is about your project, right? You as a person, you as a personality, you as a XYZ person, what you are, what you have done, what you are going to be doing, those are the things I want to know. Don't mention about your project. Similarly, don't mention about your hobbies. I heard 2 to 3 interviews. I have been into that interviewer panel. I have interviewed more than 25 people. Out of that 1 minute or 90 seconds of tell me about yourself, few people are telling about they know dancing. I'm a dancer. I participated in this and that. In this and that, I won this and that. In that, this and that, this particular person came to me and give me this award. Okay, you are a best dancer. All right. But why should I give you a Salesforce job? I'm not your dance teacher. You are, telling about your dance achievements, right? Don't mention your hobbies. So what are the things you have to mention? Those are the things which we are going to talk in do's. Okay. Mention your education qualification. I know your education qualification is already there in your resume, but even then mention, but don't exaggerate or don't elaborate it more. Let's say in my 10th class, I achieved 9.3 CGPA, followed by my intermediate, I achieved 88 percentage, followed by my graduation, I achieved 8.5 CGPA out of 10. That's it. Don't mention this is the school, this is the location, this is the district. No need. Just mention 10th, 12th, and this and that particular grades, right? That's it. And include work experience or internship. If you are having any work experience, if you are a work experience guy, please include your work experience in your tell me about yourself. Or if you have done any internship, please do include that, because it will tell that you are already having a existing knowledge, existing corporate knowledge, so that it will be very helpful to for that particular person, uh, knowing that you are having this and that related to Salesforce and which is related to yourself, right? And include skills, role specific. And also you have to include skills. Let's say I am this guy, I have done this internship. I have been into these companies and include some of these skills. I have a good communication skills. I have good documentation skills. I have good presentation skills. So that skills should have to replicate your role. Okay, if you are a business analyst, you have to mention communication skills, admin skills, maybe documentation skills, maybe business analyst come into handy when it comes to testing as well. So you have to mention those. If you are a developer, mention the skills. You are having good programming skills, good logic building skills, good problem solving skills, right? These are the some skills which you have to mention with respect to the role. Okay, you are aiming for a role of business analyst, you are mentioning these skills. Doesn't matter when it comes to tell me about yourself, right? And also include your position of responsibility or achievements, but just take only 10 to 15 seconds when it mentioning of position of responsibility. Let's say I'm this person, I have worked there, I'm having these skills, and I am being a leader for this, I have achieved this within Salesforce, right? Then it will tells that, okay, this guy is having good academics. This guy is already having some experience. Okay, his skills are very much clear to our role. I mean, the role which we are going to offer, and he's an achiever, and he's having a winner attitude. So that that winner attitude will help us in the project. So these are the things which you have to mention when it comes to your tell me about yourself, right? Then it will elaborate yourself for that particular role which they are offering, and it will elaborate yourself what you are. That's it, right? You are not going beyond and telling about your parents, telling about your hobbies, telling blah blah blah, right? Within that particular interview, within that particular role, within that particular company, you are delivering what you are delivering, right? So those are the things you have to deliver when it comes to tell me about yourself, right? So by this, I think I have completed the tell me about yourself segment. If you are having any questions, please do. Varnata, can you help me in that? Varnata, are you there? So Pratik is asking, can we add internship other than role specific? Definitely, Pratik. I told you, right? Work experience or internship will definitely work, right? You can include the internship, which replicate that you are already having some corporate experience, right? Corporate experience people will definitely value. Okay. Manoj is asking, hi Shesha, please provide your mail ID. I am going to attend connected. Okay.
I've given your email ID, Sesha.
Sure, no problem. So is there any other questions for me?
I think one is from Sekhar. He says, one, show me, tell me about yourself, that slide. Do and don't.
Show. Already shown, right?
Once again, they want to see, yeah. Do's and don'ts.
Yeah, might be you can find it on Twitter, or maybe I will be providing the session recording. I don't know why I'm not going back. I'm doing session with the Mac for the first time, so sorry for that. I'm going forward, but I'm not going backward. I don't know why. Yeah, all right, no problem.
Few more questions. There's something from Shafi. He says, can you answer my above question? Which is that question? Is he referring to? Okay. One common question to all. A person has experience in XYZ industry and now wants to join to IT industry. How to justify his decision to join IT industry?
Okay. That's really a great question, to be honest. To justify your question, what you are telling, build your story, right? As I told you, whatever the things you are telling in the interview is nothing but a story. Build your story, might be real, or I don't know what the story which you are thinking of. Might be you are shifting from this domain to this domain because of salary. Might be you are shifting from this domain to this domain because you are not having good experience in that past domain. But build your story in such a way it should be more positive, right? Let's say I want to shift from, transport domain, or maybe within another domain, to this domain, because I see lot of potential when it comes to IT. I have a lot of friends within IT. Maybe uh, my current organization, within my current organization, I have IT wing or IT friends who are doing a great stuff. And out of these people, they are into Salesforce domain, and they helped me to understand Salesforce, and they helped me to learn Salesforce. After learning Salesforce using from Trailhead modules or doing Trailhead projects, I got a lot of interest and enthusiasm to work in Salesforce. And I can see myself into Salesforce domain because my mindset and my thoughts, define that technology. So that I would like to jump to Salesforce. This can be your answer. This is the what the answer which came into mind, because come with your positive approach and build your story. Might be the thing which I have delivered, the story is not true. The story is different. Your salary, maybe you are having bad issues or maybe other stuff. But build your own story, deliver that. Since you are delivering a positive story, since you are interested into Salesforce domain, it's good. It's good for the interviewer. It's good for the interviewee as well, right? Hope that makes sense. Right. Varnata, any other questions?
Yes, there are a few more questions. So Anmol says he's in final year. Please suggest me how can I get Salesforce admin voucher.
So admin voucher, you can
Do you
get.
have any?
I didn't have any. So admin voucher you can get from certification days is a program where you can have a 5 hours of webinar. Go to Trailhead, and Trailhead, within Trailhead you will be having preparation days or certification days something. So you will be getting $70 voucher. Yeah, you can win that $70 voucher, and you can apply out of 200, and you will be paying $130 plus 80% tax. Right? If you want $200 voucher, there are some competitions which will be happening within Salesforce partners, which are called as, what is that? Trailhead Quest.
Community events.
Yeah,
Quest.
Quest is there. Trailhead Quest is there. Even Trailblazer community groups will give giveaways of vouchers with conducting some contests, quiz, and level up challenges from Trailhead, admin superset, developer superset. There are a lot of things, but I don't think so these are now happening. Don't go into those voucher standpoint. Let's jump into this main session point. Any other questions, Varnata?
Yes. How to move from Salesforce support job to Salesforce developer job? Any suggestions?
Just learn development. Just learn development. Do one project on development. I know moving directly from support to developer is not that easy. Moving from support to testing or admin is very easy, but moving from support to developer is not that easy. But you can build your own project, or you can do any other stuff when it comes to development, or you can do some Trailhead badges within development. You can do some Trailhead projects within development and showcase whatever the skills you have occurred within those projects or within that experience, so that you can get that developer job. But it is not that easy to directly jump into the support to developer. But yeah, it is possible. It is never a day it is not possible. It is possible. Right.
All right. Next question is experience is useful in startup company, or you can say startup company experiences is useful.
Definitely useful. Definitely useful. Startup company experience. Let me tell my own story. I have a lot of job offers where a lot of MNCs like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, and one of the biggest offer came from United Health Group, which is Forbes. I don't know Forbes. It is Fortune 6th company in the world. I left all this stuff and I joined startup called Cloudbase, because I can see myself developing in that startup. I can see where I can develop or improve my skill set within that startup. Not only in Salesforce, I can give value to the company with my marketing skills or maybe HR skills or maybe operation skills, right? From that, I can give value, I can take the value. So at the end of the day, you are building your skill set, right? You might be not having a brand name of Infosys, Wipro, Deloitte, but at the end of the day, we want you person. We don't want your brand. We want your skill set. We want you as a person having this ample amount of skill set, which will be beneficial for my company, right? So that's the main agenda or main thought of any interviewer. No one will see in the brand, right? Startup is not having brand, this particular X company is having brand. It doesn't matter. It does matter what you're delivering, what you are having. That's it.
Do you want to take up more questions, Sesha, or we have?
Let's move, Vanatha. I think it's already 6:30. Let's move.
Yes, sure.
So, etiquette in online interviews. I just want the next coming segments are really quickly. I am going to wind up. So, etiquette in online interviews, guys. So, presenting yourself. So, one thing which is more important might be online or offline. You have to be presenting in a very efficient way, very polite way, very formal way. Uh, let's say you are a male or female, please wear your formal dress. Okay, these very casual shirt, please don't wear these kind of casual shirts. Please don't wear t-shirts. Make sure you wear a formal shirt. When it comes to female gender as well, make sure you wear a formal dress. And it's good to have upper part of your body as formal. It doesn't matter what your lower part, you are wearing boxers, you're wearing shorts, you're wearing normal casual pant, it doesn't matter. Now I am on boxers, who knows? Right? So it doesn't matter. So make sure your upper part of your body is formal. And for male, if you are having tie, it is more beautiful. It will tells you that you are more professional. More professional will tells you that you are more disciplined. More discipline will tell you that you follow the time beings, you respect the project timings, you complete the project on time. So this single tie will replicate lots of thoughts when it comes to an interviewer. So might be if you are having a tie, please do wear it. Even if you doesn't have tie, no bother, just wear a formal shirt, right? Avoid t-shirts and casual shirts. Yeah, that's the one thing you can present yourself. And stable internet, make sure this is the one biggest issue everyone are facing. But make sure having a stable internet. Let's say you are having a interview at 10 a.m. Make sure 9 a.m. 9:30 a.m. check your internet. If your internet is not good, then change your place or maybe change the internet connectivity or go to your friend's house and have the interview over there, right? Make sure the interview is more stable, so that interviewer might not get why I'm going to interview this guy internet is not good. If because let me tell you one thing, interviewer is the person who is already employed, right? He is spending 1 hour time with you. So before 1 hour, he did a lot of work. After 1 hour, he is going to do a lot of work. So he will be already in a chaos mind. So don't disturb him more with these internet connectivity issues, audio issues like that. So make sure your internet is stable and going the session or maybe the interview goes in a smooth way, right? And another thing which I look into lot of people, Gmail DP. So you might be putting some casual Gmail DP, some lot of other poses like your royalty poses or maybe your hair plucking poses. So or maybe no Gmail DP, right? Please make sure post a casual Gmail DP. I'm not asking for you for a photocopy or what is that? Photo DPs, right? Passport size photo DP. Sorry, passport size photo DP. Just have your headshot or maybe a shot of up to your chest, so that let's say you are going with Google Hangouts, right? If you are having interview in Google Hangouts, if you are not sharing your video, your DP is going to be presenting you, right? Or let's say you are having email conversation with the HR sends you this email, you send HR your resume. After sending your resume, HR gave you an invite of this particular interview. After interview, you will be telling thank you. what is going to present? Your name and your DP, right? Your DP is skeleton picture, or your DP is this picture where you are flying somewhere, and it doesn't make professional. If you want to make yourself professional, put a DP which should be professional. Make it as your habit, right? You might be having a very good DP at LinkedIn. Just put that LinkedIn DP in the Gmail DP as well, because it is representing you, right? And also, if you are having Gmail ID with your nickname, let's say my nickname is Bunty. I'm having one Gmail ID is Bunty at something at the rate gmail.com, right? But I can't communicate with that Gmail ID. I have to communicate with my professional name, seshagiri.tamalala@gmail.com, and with my DP, which is very professional. It might be not professional, which is good to see, at least good to see, right? That is the one thing people are not following, and it is impacting. To be honest, it is impacting. Your DP itself tells how you are and what you are. And good background, guys, and also make sure you are having good background. Let's see, in my case, I'm sitting behind a wall, right? So no one is floating behind me, or nothing is happening behind me, so that the interviewer is not getting disturbed. I have seen a lot of interviews, video interviews, where the person will be sitting somewhere. His mother, his father is going somewhere. His brother is playing here and there, and he is giving interview. Me as an interviewer, I will be deviated. Oh, what is going on? Who is moving? Is he his mother? Is she his mother? Is he his father? Or is that someone who is helping the person? I might be getting a lot of thoughts when other person, if I see other person behind the screen. So make sure you sit behind a wall, or maybe any curtain. If it doesn't have any good wall or good painted wall, sit behind a curtain, and make sure no one goes here and there. Make sure you lock your room. uh, might be your mother is calling you, "Are beta, खाना खाने के लिए आजा." Avoid these things. Tell your parents that I'm in an interview, don't disturb, and lock your rooms. It's fine. Parents are the people who understand us, right? So it's fine. And if you want to include video conferencing background, you can also include that. Let's say if you are into a Zoom call, if you are into a Gmail, Google Hangout call, you can have your backgrounds as well. Let's say you can have a white background, and you will be the presenting the one. And even you can customize your background. Let's assume this is a white background. I can put here as a trailhead ranger. I can put here as a certified Salesforce admin, certified Salesforce app platform app builder. I can put here as a Salesforce developer group leader, right? And here I am. Here my achievements are showing over there, right? I am customizing my background. So that can be a good hack that replicates that. Okay, this guy is having good achievements, and he is representing his achievements within that background. You can customize those Google backgrounds and Zoom backgrounds, right? But it is a little risky, because the other person might take it positively, might take it negatively. If the person take it positively, it will be in this case, right? Oh, he's having good background, he is more professional, he's representing his achievements over here. And there might be few people thinking that why this guy is exaggerating, why this guy is showcasing more. Already these things are there in the resume. So it's a little bit risky, but you can take your chances if you want to take. But whatever the things you mention over there, just elaborate them with a quiet smile, right? And the last and final thing, guys, facial language. Since you are not into the real world, or maybe real time interviews or offline interviews, in offline interviews, lot of stuff will be seen over there, like how you are walking, what is your entire dressing style, how your hands putting on the table, how your legs are there, what is your bent position, are you bending backward, are you bending forward. So these are the stuff which will be checked when it comes to offline interviews. But when it comes to online interviews, mostly the things will be checked is your face and your hands, not more than that, right? So make sure your facial language is very good. Have a smile, and don't have a smile every time. If the interview is not going good, even you are smiling like this, then it will definitely gives a bad impact. And always don't make your hands near to your mouth or near to your face. Just play with your hands when you are explaining something. It itself tells the good body language. And also don't come very near to the camera and don't go very far to the camera, right? Sit like this, sit in a stiff position and present yourself like this. And also uh, don't use your eyebrows, don't make your eyebrows very clear, make your lips very clear, and make your eyes very clear. I mean the expressions very clear. Let's say if you don't understand some question, if you are tensing, if you got tensed, you'll be like this. So the itself is telling you are tense, right? Don't show that you are tense. Even if that answer you don't know, like tell that you are like thinking something. You take your time and tell, okay, sir, I might not remembering. Sorry, sir, I forgot this. I will be getting back to this question, and after this, interview, I'll be getting back and learn this whatever I have left. It itself tells you that you are having a learning attitude, right? You might be knowing that, not knowing that, but you are going back and learning that, right? That represent your learning attitude. So it's out of mode, sorry. Facial expressions will play a major role when it comes to your answers, or when it comes to your listening skills, right? And your delivering skills. So make sure you have a good facial expressions. And yeah, on this note, if you want to customize your Zoom background, there is one application called Canva. You can go over there and customize accordingly, whatever the things. I have give you one example, right? So you can customize as per your wish, if you want to put the Zoom background, right? So this is how it is. So is there any questions for etiquette in online interviews, Varnata?
Answered them all.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, could you pick either one or two?
Oh, let me check. I think there is one from Navnath. He says also, one interview asks every time is, do you have any questions for me? What should be the satisfying answer?
If
So
anyone
if
is
an interviewer is asking you, do you have any questions for me? Is that, yeah. That's what he means. That if any interviewer is asking you, do you have any questions for me? What should be the satisfying answer?
If anyone asks you, do you have any questions for me?
Interview. If any interviewer, yeah.
Please do ask questions. Please do show your enthusiasm. Please do ask questions on that particular company. Please do ask questions on that ongoing projects. Please do research about that company before you are entering into the company. The best place to research about a company is its website. If you spend at least 30 minutes on that website, you will be getting to know what are the products they are using, what are the services they are giving, what are the ongoing projects they are having, who are their customers, their testimonials. All this stuff will be available at the website. Just spend 20 to 30 minutes at the website and you will be contented about that company. And if this question arrives, or even this question doesn't arise, ask questions. Show your enthusiasm. Tell that you are desperate to join that company. That enthusiasm will tell that, okay, this person is meant for this company, right? Please do that. Go to website, study about it, understand the company, ask whatever your understandings, ask whatever the doubts you have. Even if you don't have, ask it. Doubts, you ask it, right? Yeah. Any other questions for another?
No, Sesha, I have answered them all. No problem. You can go ahead. Already we are, time is not there. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yep. So how to communicate efficiently? So I will take not more than 5 to 10 minutes, guys. So how to communicate efficiently? So this is the one question I have been asked from a long time. They are having good skills, they are having good resume, but they are unable to communicate efficiently, right? So one thing I would like to tell you is communication skills not equal to speaking fluently. If you are speaking fluently, it doesn't mean that you are a good communicator, right? What is meant by communication skills? You have an idea, you make sure that idea should be got it for for the opposite person. So right, how that opposite person will get your idea. So you have an idea, There is a person one, you are the person one. Person two should have to get that idea, right? Or maybe that conversation, or maybe that sentence. How will be doing that? You will be doing via communication, right? At the end of the day, your idea will be communicated and it will be got it to that person too. That's it. It doesn't mean that your good English makes you as a good communicator. Nothing, guys. I am a business analyst. I am dealing with Australian client. I am dealing with Europe client. I am dealing with USA client. My communication skills, or maybe my English skills, is not any day more than those people. But the way I deliver, the way I explain, the way I train those my clients itself makes I am a good communicator. How efficiently I am training, how they are understanding what the things I am telling. Let's say me as a business analyst, I got a requirement. I took up that requirement. I might be, answering in an email. I might be answering in a video conference call. I might be answering in XYZ resources. But the way I'm answering, the way I'm, delivering, that matters. At the end of the day, the opposite person is understanding it or not. That matters. It doesn't matter what you are, how fluently you are communicating, what are the, unique vocabulary you are using when it comes to your pronunciations. It doesn't matter. It does matter up to an extent, but it is not the whole sense of matter, right? So how to communicate efficiently? So communication will improve only with RLWS. What is RLWS? Can anyone tell me what is RLWS? What is the abbreviation of RLWS? The only way you can improve your communication is with the help of RLWS. Anyone know what is RLWS? Yes, you got that. Read, listen, write, speak. That's it. Read, listen, write, speak. How do you read? Read the blogs, read the newspaper, read the books. Let's say you're reading this book. I'm reading this book from past few days. I literally don't know some of the words. I'm running behind those words by searching in Google. Let's say there is a word called forbidden. I don't know what is forbidden. I'll be going to Google and I will be searching what is forbidden. I understand that. I make sure, if possible, I will include that word in my vocabulary, right? Like that, you will be improving your learning with reading and listening. Also, listen few things. Listen few movies and listen podcast. What they are delivering, how they are delivering, what is their accent, and how accent differs between the expressions, how the accent differs between the emotions. So also learn that and apply in your vocabulary. And coming to read and listen, write and speak, as I told you, read and listen are very passive. You will be not learning a lot. You will be, because it doesn't directly affect your communication skills, but what affect your communication skills is your write and speaking skills, which are very active. If you write something, it will definitely improve. If you speak something, it will definitely improve. Take me as example. I belongs to a very small town. Up to my 12th class, I belongs to a small town, and I don't know how to speak in English. Even if I speak in English, out of 100 words, 90 words are wrong, or maybe out of vocabulary. But I improve my English by speaking or maybe writing. I have a very good habit of writing. I have a very good habit of speaking with my peers and with my seniors. So that's how I improved. Even I speak a lot of mistakes. In this session also, I spoke a lot of mistakes. But it does matter is, am I delivering the correct content to you? It does matter is, you guys are understanding my content. If you are understanding, then I'm good. It doesn't mean that, okay, you are going to catch each and every mistake and you are going to catch my vocabulary mistakes, and that replicates that you are not understanding. No, right, you are understanding. It's okay. If I'm throwing some mistakes, that's fine. I will improve. I will improve very slowly. I will be improving by reading something, listening something, writing or speaking something, right? That's how we as a person evolve, by improving. We doesn't start with the topper rock of the earth, right? We'll be starting with some extent, right? So that's how we'll be improving. And no one is perfect in this world. So yeah, mistake will be happen, and that is completely fine. So these are how you can communicate efficiently, learn efficiently. And tips to communicate efficiently. According to your research, the attention span of an online interview, we are discussing about the online interview, right? So attention span of an online interview is 1/4 lesser than the in-person interview. So let's say you are delivering something for 1 minute, right? That is effective for 1 minute. When it comes to online interview, that will be effective only for 15 to 20 seconds, right? So let's say I ask you one question. What is XYZ? You are giving answer to that XYZ, right? So in offline interview, whatever the answer you are giving, it will be effective for 1 minute. But when it comes to online interview, it will be more effective or more understandable for only 15 to 20 seconds. So the efficiency rate decreases when it comes to online interview. So you have to increase your impact when giving the answer so that the efficiency increases. So how you can increase that efficiency is train yourself for the phone interview or record with the help of application called Speako. So what it is telling is, let's say we're delivering something. Let's say we're delivering, tell me about yourself. Let's say there are some beaten up questions you are delivering. We don't know how you are going to deliver. Even you don't know how you are going to deliver. Even you don't know what are the mistakes you are, delivering over there, or what are the filler words you are delivering over there. So what are filler words? Let's say I'm talking for 5 minutes. If I within that 5 minutes I'm talking, uh, uh, and and very different people, lot of people. Lot of is not a word. Lot of people is a word. Different people is a word. I mean, different doesn't exist. One different is enough. Very doesn't exist. Very is exist, right? So these are the filler words which you do not have to mention. And there are some of the like something you will be going like that, right? So these are the things you have to avoid. And also the repetitive words should be avoided. So you don't know when you are delivering something, you don't know that you are having these filler words. But if you train yourself for a phone interview, let's say you have your own phone, okay, uh, tell me about yourself. You are giving in your phone to someone, maybe your friend, your mother, your father. Record that conversation. After telling about yourself, listen that from your end. After listening, you should have to identify your filler words. You should have to identify where your vocabulary is wrong. You should have to identify how is your consistency. You should have to identify what is the pace of your communication. If you identify, then you are the only person who will be rectify it, right? If you identify any mistakes, you will be rectifying it. If you doesn't identify, where is the scope of rectifying, right? So make sure, guys, you record something whatever you speak, right? So best example is everyone in this call, record, tell me about yourself, prepare your tell me about yourself, record it, and see how you are delivering. If there are any mistakes, please do rectify it. Because as I told you, tell me about yourself is the question where it will make or break your interview, and it will impact you 50% of your interview. So that's how you have to go, guys. And one more tip I would like to share is it will help you to identify the pauses and filler words, right? So that's the one thing I have already told you. And yeah, so this is my communicate efficiently. So is there any questions, Swarnata?
No, Sesha.
Okay, all right.
Yes, there is one question which just popped in. That is, any tips for the Trailblazer Connect career fair on Jan 21st?
So these are the tips which I am delivering. You can apply on January 21st as well, right? So this session is for the January 21st session of Global Career Fair. You can apply. I know 3 to 4 days are left. You might not be applying each and everything which I am delivering, but apply very few things. Like this recording is very good thing, and apply whatever the things which I have mentioned in the resume. And also apply, you can't go back and forth when it comes to improving your communication skills within 4 days, right? So don't concentrate on it. Concentrate on your resume. If you already submitted resume, just leave it. Concentrate on how you are delivering, what you are delivering, and prepare for the content, prepare for the admin, prepare for the developer, prepare for the pointers which you have mentioned it in the resume. That's it.
Next question is this recording available to
Yes.
the participants?
Yes, this is available. We are going to post it in our YouTube channel. So stay tuned.
And do we have another career fair this year?
I'm not the third person to answer. I am just a representative of Trailblazer community group as a leader. This question will be answered by the Salesforce people, the real Salesforce developer relation team, or maybe Trailblazer Connect team. You can approach either of them. They are available at LinkedIn, Twitter, and everywhere else, right? Even on Telegram, they are available. So you can go over there and you can answer these questions.
And for now, it's just this one, right?
Right.
I mean, there is nothing planned in for any time soon. Yeah.
No.
You can go ahead, Sesha. No more questions.
Yep, last 2 minutes, guys. And how to approach of RAC format, result, action, and context. So all the above 4 segments which you have discussed, maybe resume preparation, tell me about yourself, how to communicate efficiently, all the 4 segments which you have discussed should be implemented in a RAC format to increase its impact, and this will create a great perception to the interview. So what is RAC format? Result, action, and context. Whatever the stuff you are delivering, start with its result. What result it has given? What are the actions you have performed to give that result? To get that action and to perform that action, what is the context you have followed, step-by-step context? Let's say you are a work experience guy, or you have did a internship, you are a fresher, if you have did an internship or any project. So if you are telling about your project, let's say the interviewer, me as interviewer, hey, this project sounds very interesting, can you please explain about this project? You have to be telling in such a way that project has its as this result. This project has impacted 50 plus people by solving this problem, or this project, out of this project we won this particular competition, out of this project we have got appraisal or appreciation, right? This will be the result, but the core result will be how this project helped that person, what is the problem solving thing that of that particular project. And next you have to explain the action. What is the action you have make sure to make this particular result? Let's say I have did this, I have been into the business analyst role, and I have had this communication, and I have implemented this stuff. And at last explain about the context, right? What is the step-by-step process you have been through to get this action and to get this result. Like it should be this process, right? Action, result, action, and context. I have seen a lot of people start with context, action, and result. By the time of you are explaining something about result, the impact will get reduced, because by the time you are explaining the action, the interviewer will be bored of, or you might be cut down that question, right? The main purpose of this question is knowing about the result. So make sure you tell that result at the start, and tell what are the actions you perform, and then if they are even interested, tell about the context which you have done, right? So that should be the format when it comes to resume preparation, when it comes to tell me about yourself, when it comes to any question, any answer you have been giving, when whatever the question which I have thrown to you, right? So that should be happen. Or else if you start with action, or if you start with context, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't give a lot of impact to your answer. So this format will delivers a lot of power skills. So there is 2 skills which you all know about, the soft skills, right? Soft skills is nothing but intrapersonal skills, communication skills, and a lot of other stuff come into soft skills. When it comes to power skills tells you that how much leadership qualities you are having, how you are, I mean, how much you are achiever, how much you are disciplined, uh, what aura you are bringing to the table. So that describes your power skills. So it's more of aura. Soft skills is more of internal, power skills more of external. So your external posture, or your external exhibition should have to deliver over there. So RAC format delivers your power skills more than your soft skills. So this is the one best format everyone should have to follow when it comes to interviews. and it will showcase your power skills and attitudes towards achieving in the respective aspects. So this is what RAC format, and that's the end of my session, guys. I know it's been a little late, and thank you for staying this late as well. So any other questions, Varnata?
No, Sisha, I have answered them.
I see one question.
I wanted to add one point in the etiquettes for the virtual interview, that even their camera angle matters a lot, because sometimes I have seen what happens is, suppose they're sitting on a bed and the laptop is kept down, and you see the camera will be like top. You are looking at top, and so it should be parallel to your face.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sitting on bed, and you know where I place this camera. I place this camera on my suitcase. This is my suitcase.
Okay.
So I have
So that's how it should be.
Yeah, I have prepared myself. My camera should be facing my face. So
Yes.
I need some height when I'm sitting on my, bed. So I have placed this suitcase.
So that was not for you. That was for them, I'm telling.
No, I'm telling for them as for them only.
Yeah.
So guys, I know if I put this down, this is my position. So this position doesn't replicate the professional standpoint. So
Yeah.
please, maintain some height. I have my study table, but I don't know. Today I sat on, bed and I had this suitcase. So it is fine, but make sure your face is more, on the straighter part. So that's how it is, guys. And I would like to pick one question asked by Chitra. I have given 2 to 3 interviews, but experience. I have experience in PHP developer, but now switch it to Salesforce completely. Okay, Chitra, okay, they are not selected you. So that's fine. I mean, if they are looking for Salesforce experience, why don't you showcase your Toilet knowledge? Why don't you showcase your projects which you have done using Toilet, or why don't you do your own projects, right? We as a person, or we as an entity, we will be having our own knowledge where you can build our own business problem, might be the existing one or might be the unique one. So make that business problem as your project and build something upon that. Use your admin tools, use your admin knowledge. On top of that, build something using development for the back end and as well as the front end, and then deliver it. This is the project I have built. I might be a PHP developer. I have the developer skills. I have the problem solving skills. I have that logical thinking skills. I had applied all these skills in my project of Salesforce development, and this is me. Then who is going to stop you, right? So yeah, I mean, if you are not showcasing anything about Salesforce, why I have to pick you for the Salesforce job, right? So yeah. So yeah, guys, and this is the end of the session. Thank you very much. I hope this session will definitely help you. If you want any review, if you have any doubts, you can catch me from via LinkedIn or maybe email ID. I think some of them I have posted my email ID. And I especially thank Shibu. Thank you, Shibu Abraham, sir, for holding here and answering all the questions in the chat window. Now I am observing most of the questions are answered by you and Varnata. Thank you very much for helping me. So thank you, Shibu, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you, Varnata, for coordinating and answering few questions in the chat window. And thank you very much, my team, Chinnababu and Suresh, for always helping me and always motivating me to come forward. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Have a great weekend. Please do crack the interviews and message me that your tips has helped me. That would be the most, I'll be the most happiest person. And message Shibu, message Varnata, message Chinna, message Suresh, message each and every person who had helped you in this session, that because of these tips you had got this offer letter, and we will be the most happiest person. Thank you all, and love you all, and bye-bye.